Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 73 national champions Dave Casper, Eric Penick, and Robin Weber. Gentlemen. Yeah, we need to get an elevator. You guys decide where you sit.
We always put Dave.
Always put Dave in the middle? Oh, Robin's in the middle.
Oh, wait.
That wasn't easy.
No.
What is it like for you guys to watch those highlights today?
Well, it makes my knee swell up.
I'm not sure he's going to catch it every time.
And I'm not sure that I can run that fast, let alone get up the steps. So,
Now, Robin, you told a story at the BCS title game where that was the first pass you ever caught from Tommy Clements. Not just in a game, but ever.
Ever, and not even in practice. So they basically had me in as a blocking tight end, and for some reason decided, I'd like to think that Tom Pagna and Eric Penick said, let's use our secret weapon, Robin Weber, here at the end of the game. I don't think it quite worked that way. They just jumped on a defense that they saw that I would be open on, or Dave would be open on, and it just happened to be me that was in that position. So.
Now, Dave, Robin also says the pass was supposed to go to you.
Pass goes where they go.
There you go. That's exactly
They just
correct.
go where they go.
And that's a true testament to how good Tom Clements was. That guy was probably as good as any quarterback I've ever been around anywhere. So he was that good.
Two iconic games that year. The run we just showed everybody, in case you didn't recognize it, was against USC. 85 yards, huge upset win, the first big step to winning that title. You also scored a touchdown in the Sugar Bowl against Alabama. What was it about the 73 team that made it special?
well, to me, what it was that everybody was loyal to one another. We weren't playing football, but we were family. You know, Dave would tell me things to keep me out of trouble from the day I was a freshman to even now. Robin, we still communicate with each other, but we all knew each other. It didn't matter whether you were first string, second string, third string. It didn't matter. It was that we were here for one reason, and we were Notre Dame. And by being Notre Dame, that was the most important thing for us. And that's why we won. We didn't win because we were more talented, because a lot of other teams had more talent. We won because we were more loyal and more committed to one another, and because we had one of the greatest coaches, in my opinion, who even cared about me after I left Notre Dame, that I've ever dealt with in my life. He's still my coach. He's still my friend. And that's why we won. That's why we were good.
It's interesting. We try to make the videos not too long for this, and we actually had a debate. Do we go all the way through the celebration and Era talking after the championship? We said we've got to have Era up there talking after the championship because he was so important. Dave, just talk a little bit about the impact he had on you guys, both as players, but the impact he continues to have today.
Well, you know, Coach Barsegan was, I always say you don't demand discipline, you teach discipline. And you coach discipline. So he was well organized. Football can be said to be a plug-in sport. I really believe that. And then you just plug in, you show up, you do what they tell you to do, you cope with the stuff. But when you were in practice with their Coach Barsegan, you knew where you were going to be every single minute of practice. It was ran, and you really just had to plug in. You just had to show up and play and do your job and do it the way you're taught to do it, and you're probably going to win. And I don't really know. I think some people who got to Notre Dame, it wasn't easy to get in here in those days. You had to do the academic requirements. So I think some of the guys on the team already had those skill sets. I mean, the recruiting process and a lot of the people that get to Notre Dame already have skill sets so a coach could work with us. And then I think if you watched what was going on, you just don't get too excited. Just show up every time and relentlessly play. So, you know, obviously I don't really know how much Notre Dame or that game or that season led to me or changed me, other than it makes me feel really good to be part of the team. I mean, that's the most valuable thing it's ever done. I think the guys that went to Notre Dame would have done well anywhere. And I've always said Notre Dame doesn't make great people, it's the people that come to Notre Dame that make Notre Dame great. And so don't always sit down and think that, I mean, the guys on this team were a good set of guys, and we helped Coach Parsegian too, and he would tell you that. And it was a good thing both ways. The greatest thing I have from it is still friendship. I mean, other than winning is you can't beat that, but the friendship. So, and I think the one thing about Coach Parsegian, he didn't sweat the small stuff either. He kind of let us kind of be, he didn't sweat the small stuff, and he didn't beat us up.
Era is not here today, but he's 90, still sharp as a tack. I got to talk with him last before his birthday
And
party.
we're still afraid of him, remember this?
And that's the point. He had an
Okay.
intangible to him that was just, you were intimidated by him. All of us have been around, a lot of dynamic people in our day. And I don't get intimidated by just about anything or anybody, but that gentleman intimidated all of us to a degree of inspiration. I mean, it was just amazing. To this day.
Dave told us last year, and I said, how much did you interact with Coach Parsegian? He goes, you get called to talk to the head coach, it's never a good thing.
No, my goal was have him never talk to me. Because if he's talking to me, I must have done something wrong.
I never realized how short he was, because he was always this big, tall guy, this humongous guy. And then back in 2007, we went to a speech for his research program. And I was standing next to this guy, and it was this little guy named Eric Parsegian. But he was still Coach Parsegian, and I was still afraid of him. But I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he was just that dynamic.
Well, he never looked up at you. He cocked sideways.
Yeah.
He could look. He could
give you the look.
He could be shorter than you, but still look
look at
down
you,
at you.
Especially me.
It was like he levitated in front of you.
But he had an air about him that was dynamic, and to this day, I mean, it's one of the few people that intimidates me.
Right, and he's in town, and he doesn't come to big events like this anymore because, after all, he's 90, and you guys will mob him because he's such a great guy. But he will be at your dinner tonight.
All right.
What's it going to be like when Era walks into that room? Do you guys all go turn back to being 20 years old again?
We wait for him to tell us what to do.
Yeah. What'd I do wrong?
Well, we shut up and hope he isn't talking to us. We just go.
What'd I do?
Yeah, but this happened many years ago. We had a dinner, and Coach Parks. It was funny because the guys on the team have done well. We have doctors, lawyers. We have a Supreme Court judge. Some guys have done okay. And he walks in, he goes, "Come here, guys. Now sit down." It's just like the minute we just sit there and wait for him to tell us what to do. Because if you do something before you're told what to do, you could get talked to. And you don't want to get talked to.
Well, let me just say this. Not only was Era a great coach, but David was a senior at that time and captain of our football team. He did a great job of transitioning between Era and the team. He managed our team through Era, and he just did an incredible job of doing that. So we really appreciate that for running interference. Thank you.
Dave touched on how successful everybody on that team has been. That is something that I have discovered in my more than 3 decades here, is that's a theme for, and not just football, every athletic team here. And the reason I'm still here after 30 plus years is when the athletes come back. And this applies to the student body as well, but it's somewhat unique because in this day and age, athletes at some schools only get part of the experience. They focus on the field, they don't focus in the classroom, they don't focus in life. And everybody comes back and they've had a tremendous impact. They've been both successful, but they positively impact their society that they live in. So I do want to finish, and I know Eric in particular, right now, much of what you do is to help others. Talk about what you're doing.
Well, I was in the business field for a long time, and so I helped a lot of people. But one of the things I started realizing that the young people are really the future, not just the ones that play football, but the ones that get in trouble. And so right now, I'm a chaplain at what they call the Dallas Youth Village, and one of my friends, Mike Clark, out there somewhere, we drove up here all the way from Dallas so we could talk about that. The people that we deal with are young men, 15, 16 years old, that normally are looking towards going to college or doing better for them, but our kids are the ones that are incarcerated, and they're incarcerated because of a number of different things. And what I wanted to do, because I'm getting old, I wanted to be able to give back to those young people. I wanted to be able to give them the character that Notre Dame gave us. As you guys don't know, Dave Casper would always keep me in control because I was out of control, okay? I knew I could do well in school, but Dave would tell me, "Eric, act like a duck. Because I was always getting mad, just quack like a duck. And I used to walk around going, and Dave said, I didn't mean literally, but whatever turns you on, whatever works for you. And so I try to do that with these kids nowadays. You know, we show them, Mike shows them the 85-yard run, and they look at this fat old man and they go, you can still run? And I go, nah, I can't run, but that was what I was like at 18. And I like to let them know that life has its cycles. And just because you're here right now doesn't mean you can't do better for yourself later. And so that's what I'm involved in. I mean, we have a company and we help raise money and we're consultants and that type of thing. But what I'm really involved in and I'm trying to transition to is working with young people to make sure that the young people that don't have the Notre Dame have the Notre Dame. The young people that don't have the scholarships are able to get the scholarships. And to me, that's what Notre Dame did for me. You know, I get emotional because it's not the 85-yard run. Like Dave said, they could have called, it was a high-low play. I don't know if you know what that means. That's an audible. They could have called it to the other side, but they called it to my side. And I sit back and I thought about it. I said, well, why did God let it come to me? Because he had something for me to do later. Not because I was the guy. You guys don't know that. There wasn't a pre-programmed play that Eric Penick get the ball. It was a play that was destined for me so that I could help people in the future. And so that's what we do. We are here now to help people. 40 years ago, I had no idea that I'd be sitting up here. But I've never been back to Notre Dame except for this time. And I know that I'm supposed to be here. And I'm supposed to be here to talk about our program and how to help young people. All of you out there, we just want you to be able to help other young people. That's what I'm all about. You know, it's never been about, what's wrong with me?
Nothing's wrong with you. Passion.
Yeah. It's never been about the money for me. It's always been about the helping others as I was helped. And when I tell you Eric Penick was a great coach, and I believe with this, I walked on the field the very last time I was ever on the Notre Dame field. And I asked Eric Penick, I asked Coach Penick, Coach, what kind of man will I ever be? And he said, I don't know. He said, I can tell you about the guys that came to practice every day and worked at practice every day and never played. But until you have some adversity in your life, I won't be able to tell you what kind of character you have. And so in 2007, I've gone through a lot of different things, and my life has been good. And he said, now I know what kind of man you are, and you have character. And so I leave that with everybody as far as for me. It's not about 85-yard run. It's not about a national championship, because a lot of people don't ever win a national championship. But what real winners are those people that take the greatness that we've gotten from Notre Dame and are able to give it to others, to help others become great too. Those that haven't been able to come to Notre Dame, those that haven't had the opportunity that we've had, but to use those opportunities to help others become great in their lives, and which is why Notre Dame is so important to all of us.
I think Eric just beautifully summed up why we're all here. We're kind of out of time, but Robin's successful in commercial real estate. Dave's a financial advisor. He doesn't like to talk about himself, but he was also inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame this summer, and he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much. You'll see him again tonight at the pep rally, and some of them are going to come on the pregame radio show tomorrow. But we thank you for the time, and Eric, it's great. You've been away too long. Please come back some more. Robin, thank you. Dave, thank you so much. Thank you.